Welcome back to the channel. This is probably the video that most people have been requesting from the channel in the last week. Obviously, if you follow the channel, you may be aware that I recently received this. They may look very similar, but this is the PROW XM5. It's made by WellPro. I did an unboxing. I did an initial first thoughts kind of video on it. And to be honest, I'm quite impressed with it in most ways. So a lot of people were like, hey, what's it like compared to the Toxicant? We know you have the Toxicant XM5. I did actually do some comparisons in the initial unboxing video when I opened it up, kind of like showed them side by side, etc. But I think a lot of people want to know, like, are they compatible in any way? Like, what's the build quality like, etc., etc. So today what I'm going to do in the video is I've actually just kind of got some different points we're going to go through. I'm going to do some comparisons of them. And just kind of give you guys my thoughts probably at the end of like which one I would buy. And then I'm also just going to do some testing because I think what's going to be very important is like how usable is this? You know, like they're both very expensive replicas. You're going to spend a lot of money to get one. And you may think like, oh, I want to go for the cheaper one. Should I go for this PROW $950? And am I going to regret that because I'm going to end up not being able to use it? So I've got a couple of the gas magazines filled here. So we can do a little bit of a comparison of just like how gas efficient they are. Are you going to get through a full mag on each one? Are you going to get through multiple mags? I've tried to fill those up a bit early in time so that we have like some, you know, like it's not like they're super cold mags and you can get some kind of idea of like really what this is going to be like if you're using it in the field or in a game day. I'm going to try and basically, I think I've done a lot of testing on the Toxicant. If you guys aren't aware, I'm very impressed with the Toxicant. I really like it. I know that some people have had some bad experiences, but I think so many people want to know, should I spend the extra $600, $700 and go for this, or should I actually just go for the PROW? And obviously I haven't played with both of them. I've played with the Toxicant, I haven't played with the PROW, but in this we're going to go through different things. I'm going to open up both of them and hopefully give you guys an idea of like what, you know, answer the questions that you've got, because a lot of people are typing comments on the previous videos asking these questions. Okay, so what we're going to start off first with is price. These are very, very similar in terms of, not in terms of price, they're very, very similar in terms of they are both built based on the XM5, which is the Sig Sauer. It's like the initial contract rifle that they did for the US government when they won the contract. It's now called the M7, like XM7 it kind of was, and then it's the M7 now. This is basically the earlier model, and the reason for that is because it has this, which is the forward assist. The new versions, which are the M7, don't have that forward assist. They are also, the ones that I have, slightly different in length. This is the 9.5 inch. I actually tried to get the Mark 18 super short version of the Toxicant, but what ended up happening is 6mm.com sent me the wrong one. So this is the 9.5 inch, and it's probably actually a better one to do a like for like comparison on, because this is the PROW, and I believe they only have one version. This Toxicant, they have quite a few different versions which have different handrails. The PROW one is, I think, the 11 inch, because it is slightly longer. It doesn't seem like it's 1.5 inches longer, but it is slightly longer than this 9.5 inch Toxicant. Obviously, I have a suppressor on here, and I fully built this one out. I've partially built this one out, but that's just an idea of like what it's like. The rails also have different configurations. You have an extra full set of M-LOK slots up on this upper piece. It's probably easier if I show it to you this way. If you look here on the Toxicant, we've kind of got 2 rows of M-LOK at the front here. On this PROW, we have 3. So we got 1, 2, 3. They both have this little kind of like corner piece. They both have a QD release for your sling there. This again has got 2 M-LOK slots underneath here. This one's only got 1. So, you know, if you want more M-LOK, the PROW is going to be the option for you as for right now. However, you can buy the other versions of the Toxicant, so don't let that kind of fool you. Yeah, so like for like, they are fairly comparable. I have actually also done quite a bit of upgrade work externally to this one. I've actually got a different grip on here. I've got a different stock on here, but I'll try and kind of like flag those as we go through it. I've obviously got quite a few, different add-ons here. So if you're looking aesthetically, I think the Toxicant is going to look better in this video, mainly because a lot of people absolutely love the sight magnifier setup that I have on this. I've got it fully set up with a realistic PEC unit, a scout light, an Axon switch. I've really built this one to play. This one has just got some initial first builds and leftover stuff that I've got in terms of externals. So that's another one to think about. So what we're going to start with first is price and availability. Price-wise, this Toxicant is about $1,500, $1,600, which is a massive amount of money. It's probably the most expensive out-of-the-box replica that I own. So you are going to spend a lot of money. You can't buy them in the US. They are very, very hard to get into the country. A lot of retailers, I think they've changed them a bit now, but they wouldn't actually send them over. They were kind of like, oh, because they've got branding on them from SIG, they can very easily get seized. And so, we're not going to send them. So availability, you can order them from the Toxicant website if you're in other countries. If you're in the US, you can't hit checkout. I think you can contact them and say, hey, can I buy one? Other thing to mention is apparently they are discontinuing this. So I haven't confirmed this, but from my last videos, I had a couple of people writing that these are being discontinued and that they are doing one last round of magazines that they are building, and then it's all done. So that may be a big influence. You may just kind of stop the video now and just say, hey, fine, that's enough. Like if they're discontinuing them, I can't get mags for them, then I'm not going to go with that. And I would say that's a pretty solid thing to think. I've got quite a few mags, so I actually may buy some extra ones. Just now I'm saying that just to make sure that I can use this and continue to use it if the mags go wrong, because they are proprietary. You can load them with a MWS speed loader, like an adapter kind of loader on the top, but they are completely proprietary, like different dimensions, different everything. So I would say, you're going to need the mags from Toxicant if you want to do this. There are no third-party mags that I've ever seen. I may be wrong, but I haven't seen those. So that's the thing. Availability, not good. You're very, very hard to get hold of, and price very, very high. Now, the PROW, on the other hand, you can't buy it in the US or from a US retailer that I've seen. You can get it from quite a few different retailers in Hong Kong, which is probably where you're going to end up going to buy it. I bought this from Octagon Airsoft. A big advantage, and they haven't paid me, they haven't done anything, they haven't given it to me for free. I've bought it myself. The big advantage is that they actually will do some work to put the trades on. So I believe all of these trades were put on by Octagon. They do it with a lot of their replicas, which is why I end up buying from them. For instance, with the APFGs, if you want to buy an APFG, it's not going to come with the SIG branding on it. So you need to go and get that done. They have a laser service. It's about $15. And for that $15, you're getting, kind of what makes it realistic. And I think if you're going for an XM5, this isn't the most practical airsoft replica. I know there's a lot of people in the real steel firearm world who are like, the army just aren't happy to use it as a replacement for the M4 or the AR base. And I can understand why, because it is a lot heavier. It's a lot more chunky. It's a lot less wieldy. I actually really like it. But if you're a smaller person, I think you're buying this for, hey, I want this new different thing. It's got a cool charging handle on the side of it. So I think you're going to want the trades. So apparently the PROWs don't ship with trades. The Toxicants do. You can get this from quite a few different retailers now. However, there is only one model that I can find. There is the PROW. I think you may be able to get one in black. That's me just maybe overthinking it, but you can get it in this FDE SIG bronze kind of tan color. But you can only get one size. You can't get different sizes. If it's a popular replica, I can imagine people doing aftermarket accessories for it, including handrails. But that's kind of where we're at. Price on this one's $950. So I actually think I paid $850. I was looking at my invoice to Octagon, and I think when they first released it, they had it released as an $850. And then it afterwards got raised to $950. This is pre-order, and I pre-ordered it 4 months in advance. So that's kind of where that was. So this is expensive. $950 is probably very, very high up there. Maybe the second or third most expensive replica out the box I've bought. But it's not 1,600. You know, it's 1.5 times the price to buy this, if not more. So just bear that in mind. If you're ordering from Hong Kong, you're going to be paying tariffs. A lot of questions I get on my orders now, because I get a lot of builds from overseas, is like, what are the tariffs? It's so hit or miss. I would probably say factor in worst case scenario if you're ordering from China, 25%. Just make sure that you have that in a wallet somewhere. Sounds like Bitcoin. Make sure you have that in funds to get it through. If you're shipping through UPS, normally you're going to get an email from UPS saying, hey, this is UPS, you owe a tariff on this. I've had it high. I think this was an $850 order. I think I maybe paid like $150 in tariff. So it wasn't nearly as high. And this was, I bought mags, so it's probably about a $1,200, $1,300 order. So I paid about 10% maybe, but I would say I've had charges up to 25%. And the other thing you want to factor in is right now, you don't know whether it's going to change. Whether you back tariffs, don't back tariffs, whatever that is, like you just don't know necessarily where those tariffs are going to be. If you're pre-ordering something in 2 months or you're ordering, it may change in the next 2 weeks because that's how long it's normally going to take to get something. So yeah, just factor that in, is that it can be a bit of an unknown cost. Better value for money, just on you're buying it aesthetically, you want an XM5 or an XM7 kind of base. You want that, and you are going to want good externals. I would say the externals between the two of these, from my initial thoughts, are very comparable. The Toxicant, they're very well known for always making good externals. They made this a year ago. They were fresh out the block. They probably spent a lot of money on research and development to do this. But value for money, I would probably say this PROW is now going to take that crown. You know, it's not nearly as expensive to kind of get it. Other things is that when I bought this Toxicant, I don't think it is the case anymore, but I actually got 4 mags with it. And when the mags are $60, $70, that's really good. I don't think you get that same deal. I think that was kind of like a pre-order deal that I got there. So that was included. PROW only came with 1 mag, but it also comes with 2 bolts. And that is something I wasn't aware of. And so luckily, when I was watching the unboxing video, someone said, hey, did you get the bolt out of the box? I was like, what are you talking about? This was hidden in the back of the box. And so this is actually a very, very lightweight aluminium bolt. It's incredibly lightweight. I mean, it feels kind of like it might be plastic. It is metal, like cold to the touch, but it does feel like it could be plastic. And apparently this is for cold weather. So it means that, you know, this thing's got a big, heavy bolt in it. You can feel the recoil. It's pushing something pretty hard. So if you are in a cold environment, the gas is not going to perform in the same way. So therefore, they've also provided you with something like this, which apparently will run a lot better in cold environments. What I'm going to do today as well is I'm going to switch the bolts out, and we will see what the performance is like in terms of FPS and consistency and the rate of fire between the lightweight bolt and the heavyweight bolt. So stay tuned for that. So this might be a longer video, guys, so just bear in mind. What else are we going to look at? So 950 to 1500, 1600 availability, better value for money. That's probably around kind of where we are. Second thing we're going to go through is packaging and first impressions. In fact, do you guys when we go to the externals, I'm going to kind of go through, I'll give you guys some close-ups so you can kind of see that, because I think that's what people want to see. So I'm going to do that once we get to that. So that was just a price kind of start. Packaging and first impressions. The unboxing experience, I think, was pretty similar. Toxicant's previous models, the ones that they had, like the SIG Spear base ones, actually came in like hard cases, kind of like the Salvo Precisions do now. This came in a box. They actually misspelled Toxicant.com on it. I think it was Toxint or something like that. They missed out a letter, and I actually emailed them and said, hey, just so you know, like on your packaging, it's the wrong letter. Came with 4 mags, which was great. Weirdly, when it comes out the box, this has a tiny little inner barrel in it. So you need to replace the inner barrel. That's kind of nice because you probably will do that. And it's probably what I'm going to end up doing with this. But that is something to bear in mind. Packaging in terms of the box was maybe slightly nicer on the Toxicant. On the PROW, it is their standard WellPro black box. No, very, very indescript, like nothing really on there. It's got a A4 paper, which just kind of like is the instruction manual, very bare bones. So for both of them, I would say the packaging isn't really that good. Included accessories, I've kind of gone through that. This one comes with, obviously they both come with stocks. They both come with neither one comes with iron sights. That's something also to bear in mind. This one has actually a Sig Sauer branded grip. And I would say like just quality of the stock, the actual stock on this one out the box does not move nearly to the same degree that the one does on, I actually want to tighten this slightly, I think. The one does on the Toxicant. The Toxicant, this is an aftermarket Magpul stock on this one. And you can see here, like even the aftermarket, I think that this this actual bar here, which is the stock tube, is it's not mil spec. It doesn't seem like it's mil spec because there's just too much rattle. I'll be putting, or I thought I'd done it, but I need to do it, is put my Velcro strip on the inside of this, but it's actually just very, very tight with still a little bit of wobble on it. It's quite a strange thing. I actually normally have it fully in there, so kind of that's where it's at. Yeah, weird that it doesn't come within a barrel. This one does. This comes kind of ready to go. Flash hider on the Well Pro is so light and cheap feeling. I've changed it and I've moved it over just so that I can run a suppressor on here, but it's so light and horrible, I wouldn't like it. I would say one thing that people said on the Toxicant as well, actually, when they unboxed it, was this dust cover was just felt very cheap and plasticky for a $1,600 replica. The dust cover on the Well Pro, I'd say it's very, very similar. Like maybe slightly nicer, just in that this ball bearing looks more solid. But they both just feel kind of cheap and just not very primo, I would say. So that's going to be the same on both of those. Color differences. Oh, sorry, hold on. Including accessories, presentation and protection, pretty much the same on both. And the initial feel in hand, I would say both of these, when you're pulling them out of the box, feel very solid. They're very, very nice replicas, and they both feel very like heavy and nice. It's not like you're kind of picking it up like, wow, this is definitely an airsoft gun. They do feel very real steel. So I'd say the initial feel in hand is kind of equal for both of them. So I'd say basically on that, they're kind of level. Price and availability, PROW is going to win out. Packaging and first impressions, I think your Toxicant is going to be the same basically as your PROW. It's going to be in line. Okay, external build quality. Right, so what we'll do is we'll get this guy up so you guys can have a nice look. Sorry. Get some close-ups here. Oh, we need to unlock this camera. Apologies, delays. Okay, there we go. And now if I go here, there we go. Okay, so this is now doing the kind of close-up. I'll give you guys just a look here. So if we start off with the Toxicant, it's a much paler kind of metal. The quality is good. There's definitely some like chips and scrapes on it. You can see here, like when you scrape it, it is like that silvery color underneath. There is a slight color difference between the upper and the lower, I would say there. This is this cheaper dust cover that people kind of had an issue with. The stock tube here is the kind of like the wobble. I'll try and show you. It's just not ideal really how loose it is. I think that's an easy fix, so I wouldn't say make your decision based on that too much. You can see here I've kind of nicked a bit of the paint right there, and that's kind of where that is. Again, similarly, I've kind of done some nicking on the paint here. And that's kind of your charging handle. Charging handle is really nice. It locks in place on this little piece there, or kind of the little hook where it goes. You see that little nub, little nub there. The actual movement of it is really kind of fresh and nice. So I really like that. The trays that come on it are good. Like it's, I keep moving this the wrong way. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can just move this camera around slightly. There we go. The trades there are good. They're probably a little bit whiter and brighter on the Well Pro, but I don't know why that is. I think it might just be because it's newer. Again, really, really good metal quality. It just feels very, very nice. The one thing that people have an issue with this is the upper and the lower movement. So you can see here, there is some movement just there between the upper and the lower when I push that together. And I've actually, I think, put a little AccuWedge in there. Mine actually wasn't too bad, but I have heard some people had a real issue just with how wobbly that was. As again, I haven't had an issue with it, but that's just something to bear in mind. Trigger, if you want to see how that performs, this is going to be the trigger here. So there's a tiny bit of take up, and it's almost, there's not really a solid wall as much. There is a wall there, but it's super, super light. If I do the reset, let me just do this here for you. Reset is there, and then it's kind of on the wall again, or like the very, very soft wall that is there. Next, I'm trying to think what else you guys want to see on this, because I've run kind of different externals. The grip, I think, is pretty cheap when it's on there. I've put a new Magpul K2 Plus grip on there. Yeah, I haven't really had any issues, I have to say. Oh, one thing that was an issue was this, which is the gas adjuster, which is actually the hop up. I like having the hop up in this location, but they had to send me this version, which is like an aftermarket, an aftermarket from Toxicant. That they had this as like a full wide one, and the suppressors just wouldn't go on if you had this in the wrong kind of location. And obviously you can't really, take that from your hop up. It needs to be where it needs to be. So I've replaced that now, taken that out. I put a new hot rubber and inner barrel in there. But it's been good quality. Like, I can't say it's bad. One thing I have noticed actually on this, which I didn't notice before, is that this forward assist is molded into the body. On the Well Pro right here, it's actually a separate black kind of piece insert, which I didn't kind of pick up or know about until I just saw that. So I thought I'd mention that. Color of it, as I said, is a lot paler. So that's just, again, something to know. Right, next thing, in fact, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of these so then you guys can see me. Okay, so next thing to talk about is going to be the PROW externals. PROW externals, I think, are just as good, but just different. Here is turning on my light. Here is the PROW externals. It's just different. Like, this is, I think, from Octagon, so I wouldn't bear that in mind. Like, it's definitely been done really well. They've done it. Like, I got that from 6mm. This one's from Octagon. I actually do kind of like this black little bar piece that they have here, which they don't have on it's kind of like a silver. If I show you that on this lower piece, it's a silver piece there. I do prefer that black. Everything is very, very similar. I'm trying to right now, just look at any differences as I'm here. But like, you can see here, I'll give you just a colored kind of difference. This is just a lot lighter. This is more of that kind of darker bronze color. And I like both of them. I don't think there's kind of like one's better or the other. I think that the Toxicant may be a bit more realistic, maybe to the actual, real steel, but I don't know that for sure. Okay, so both have free floating barrel, and this has been my major issue, which I haven't resolved. I don't think I'm going to resolve it in this video, but it will be something that I need to resolve. So that will be a future video. But if you look here, this outer barrel is moving. And so I'm going to need to go in there and try and tighten up the pins in here, because that is going to affect performance. You can see it's the entire barrel gas system. Like, this is moving as well. There's nothing securing it to the rail up here. It's free float the entire way. And I don't know if it was like this when I first got it out of the box, but it definitely started to happen very quickly. I haven't played with it. I had a suppressor on here, which would have put more leverage on there, but it started to happen pretty quickly, and that is going to affect accuracy. Like if that is moving around, that's going to affect accuracy. And it's not a huge amount, but it is noticeable, and it's side to side, not up and down. I'll try and give you guys a little look of this here. Yeah, so you can see that, and that's a real issue. I don't think, even if it isn't easy just to tighten a screw, I think that it is going to be fairly easy to correct if I shim it somehow on the inside here, just put something there. But for $950, you know, I don't think you should really be doing that. Okay, so what else did we want to talk about? Okay, so the bolts internally are very different. The color differences we've done, the tightness. Okay, so the upper and the lower receiver on the PROW is more solid. Like there is no movement there. You can see there's a seam, but there's nothing there. It does feel more solid in that way. So I would say generally the PROW feels more solid other than this outer barrel. Apart from that, it kind of feels a bit better. Tolerances, I don't know. The weight comparison is almost identical. So both of these guys are going to be weighing the same. I kind of haven't taken all of the pieces off here and off there and then weighed them, but I would say just from like my hand, they feel the same. Okay, controls and ergonomics. Both have ambi controls. Both the fire selectors on the Toxicant and on the PROW seem very, very similar. It's a little bit of a bigger fire selector on here, I think, but they're both ambidextrous controls. Both have ambi bolt release. As you can see, that's this little switch guy here. Both have that, and both work really well. The bolts being very solid in terms of like the bolt release. I'll try and show you that on this quickly. I'll show you that on this lower piece. So if I flick that up, this is the bolt release here. That's that one. And then, so that was the PROW. And then on this guy, oh, I put my hand in the way of the actual. Then this is the Toxicant. So very, very similar. There is actually also on here 6.8 written, which is the caliber of the real steel, and that I think is kind of a cool to have. You don't have that on the bolt of this, which is the PROW. What else do we want to talk about? Trigger brake. I would say I actually slightly prefer the PROW. Sorry, I'm going to do the PROW here. So if I do the bolt release there, this is the trigger brake on here. It's literally nothing. It feels a lot more solid. The reset on it, again, it's a very similar amount of movement. It just feels a bit heavier and a bit clunkier. So I would say I slightly prefer it on the PROW, but it's negligent. Like both of them are really good. I know the Toxicant one, they make their own trigger boxes, so you can kind of like tune the trigger boxes as you want. So I wouldn't worry about that. Selectors. This one goes to safe when it's not charged. I don't like that. That's the PROW. Both very, very like solid and clicking. This one, maybe I slightly prefer the Toxicant one, but again, not a big difference. Let's fire that because I now know that it isn't on that. Recoil spring tension, very similar. It's a long pull. I'll just pull this up a bit. You guys get a bit more of a kind of close to the recoil, the actual spring that is on here. This guy, the PROW. Sorry, I'm kind of like, it's probably a little bit more like solid on this PROW, but it is a new replica that I haven't really fired that much. I put quite a few rounds through the Toxicant. So this feels a bit more sluggish. You also hear more of a kind of springy noise to that. Again, I think that might just be because it's new. Okay, so stock furniture, the stock in the furniture, as I said, the Toxicant stock is just kind of annoying how wobbly it is. Like here. So that just kind of annoys me. So I think the furniture is good. This Sig Sauer grip, you can tell it's not real, but it actually does feel very, very solid. And it does kind of feel very comfortable as well. So I like that. The buffer tube construction. Now, the buffer tube, again, the colors are very different. I'll put, this is the PROW here, which has got more of that bronze color. And then this is a lot lighter, which is the Toxicant one. Very similar style of construction. I actually need to tighten the screw on the inside as well, I've just realized. Maybe I'll do that in a bit. Yeah, stocks, I'd say very, very comparable, but this is definitely feels like that's going to be more, it's more real steel stock compatible. In fact, should we try and, let's try and do this and just see how I get this one out, to be honest. How do I remove this? Okay, maybe we can't do that. I was going to try and remove this stock by getting it down, and I don't know how. Unless I get a... Let me pull that back. It's not coming loose. No, so I could mess around with that, but I would say I think this is going to be probably better in terms of the dimensions of it, just to fit real steel stuff on it. Compatibility with aftermarket stocks, I've kind of gone through that. Sling mounting options, they're going to be exactly the same. They've both got QD mounts here. This one seems thicker, the one on the Toxicant, than it does on there, but they're both very similar designs. I think pretty much like in terms of dimensions, they're going to be like upper and lower wise. It seems like they're kind of the same. So that's kind of the same. Grip quality and angle. I've switched out the grip on the Toxicant, but they're both going to take real steel grips. So I don't think we need to worry about that. Okay, so let's switch quickly onto the magazines. Here are the two magazines that we have. Now, this is the Toxicant, and I have to say I prefer this magazine a lot. They're similar in terms of weight. Maybe the Toxicant is slightly heavier, which is this pale, or sorry, the FDE colored one. This has actually got proper markings on it as well. The LV, the Lancer mag, sorry, L7 AWM is there. They've both got 762 by 51, which I don't know if that doesn't sound correct to me, but they just haven't got this Lancer mag type on here. I don't like the color of this green gas, the green gas router there. They are different in terms of the feed lips. So when people are saying, hey, are they compatible? I don't think they're going to be at all. Like if I level the base plates, the Toxicant feed lips sit quite a bit higher, and they're just a very different design. The routers are different as well. Big thing with these, which I don't know if I like or I don't, I'm still working it out, but you basically can open this up and then fill your magazine in this location here. Now, that actually was springing before, and I think the reason it is not springing is because it's a full mag, because that follower stays in the same position. So when I pull it up, normally it's kind of springing. You can see how many BBs you have in the PROW one. So you can see here on the side, you kind of have an idea, but because they're double stacked, it doesn't really give you much indication of how much you have there. With the Toxicant one, you can literally see every BB, which I really, really like. I think these are 28 round mag capacity. Apparently these are 30. For me, that doesn't make a big difference, but that's something to think about. And the Toxicant ones seem wider. They just seem fatter. It's a similar kind of plastic, but again, I would say the Toxicant ones feel better built. Gas loading. You have a inlet valve here on the back of the PROW, and that means you don't have to remove the bottom of this. This is actually screwed in place, the base plate with a screw there. With this one, you need to remove the base plate. Remove the base plate, and then you get access to this, which is the fill valve. One other thing to mention as well is the Toxicant can take CO2 mags. So if that's anything to go by, like how well it's built, apparently it can take it can. I fired CO2 mags with it. I didn't think the gas capacity on them was very good at all, but that's, you know, that's something you can do. I don't think you can do that, or they don't offer that with the PROW. There's also, like, this is a solid kind of rounded top to it. This has got ridges. So I will try and put one of these mags into each other, but I don't think that's going to work. And actually the gas valve here, where the valve knocker is a different size. Also, you can see here, these are very different in terms of like how they're set. But similar weight, similar gas capacity, different loading methods. The Toxicant one can be loaded with an MWS speed loader adapter. So that's how I've loaded these before, is just stuck the speed loader adapter on it and done it. So it's the same feed lips kind of mechanism as an MWS. They have similar stop on empty here, but it's just a bit of a different location. Yeah, so that's kind of be what these are like. What I am going to do right now is I will try and put one into each. So this is the PROW. I'm going to try and put the Toxicant mag in there, and it's too wide. There is no way that's going in. So that's something to bear in mind, is that's not going to work in there. And similarly, if I put this in here, just move these around. Sorry, there's not enough space on these benches. If I try and put the PROW mag into the XM5, it's not going in. It feels like it's actually too long. So it also seems like these mags are longer and thinner, and these mags are fatter and wider, or shorter and wider. That'll go in there nicely. So that's going to be your magazines, but I would say on this, I would give it to the Toxicant mags. However, another thing to bear in mind, which I've heard from other people, is that they've had issues with the more recent Toxicant mags. So the Toxicant mags that have come out in their latest batch apparently haven't had as good gas capacity. I've had very good experience with these, where it has been, I'll be able to go through 2 mags on average with these gas mags before needing to change the gas. I can go to 2 full 28 round fills. Other thing is, obviously, you've got the fake rounds in there, the sticker. I actually think these look quite good. It's their first mag where I've actually seen them and I'm like, okay, I actually think they look good. I don't necessarily want to remove them because of this like translucent, you know, like almost misting on here. This, you can just see the gas reservoir. So there is no like, oh, is there rounds in there? It's very, very obvious that there's just a gas reservoir in there. So that's another thing to think about. This is also, this metal window here is a lot fatter. It's like bigger and wider. But there is no compatibility with mags. If that's one thing you take away from the video, no compatibility with the mags. So don't try and buy PROW mags for your Toxicant or the other way around. Okay, next we're going to go into, right, so magazine comparison. We've done the weight, we've done the construction, the feed system differences. PROW's internal cassette system, I've gone over that. Toxicant's more traditional design with the MWS filling, and they're not cross-compatible. Okay, so performance. Let's go into that first, and then I'm going to open these up afterwards and show you guys what they look like inside. So I'm going to go back right now to just having a little look at my face, and then you guys can see what I'm doing here. But what I'm going to do is use this chronograph. This is my 3D printed chronograph housing. If you haven't watched that video, I'm going to do actually just the FPS consistency on these. I actually did get a bolt, a separate second bolt, which you can buy from Toxicant, for my XM5 from Toxicant. I ended up putting an end pass in the original one. It was impossible. My friend had to drill the screws out of the actual bolt because they got stripped, and it was so glued in on the original ones. We did make it work, but I actually have I have the original bolt in here. So this should be firing at what it would come out of the box pretty much. I've got that second one, which I just bought, as like, okay, if this goes wrong or it's not good, then I'm going to be a little bit annoyed. So this should be out of the box performance, apart from you've got a different inner tube in here and a different hot rubber. And then this is out of the box performance. I haven't done anything internally to this. So what I'm going to do is we'll do a comparison of the, we're going to go here on 0.25 gram BBs. Now, I wouldn't use 0.25 gram BBs. That's not what the usual weight that I would use would be, but I think just as comparing, I've got 0.25s in this speed loader, which I've been using, the Vanguard, so it's just a very, very easy one to compare. And so what I'm going to do is probably do a couple of shots from the Toxicant just to give you an idea of like consistency, and then I'm going to give you an RPS, so like the rounds per second. As I said, with these Toxicant mags, the ones I have, I'll get through two dumps on one mag fill. Then I have two of the PROW mags. I'm going to do the same thing with one of the PROWs, so just give you some consistency readings. The last time we did this, they were very, very good. And then I'll do an RPS. And then on the other mag, I'm actually just going to try and see how many times we can fill it. And we're going to just go through it on single shots, because I don't think you're going to fire this thing full auto that much. So I don't really just want to do like mag dumps and kind of like give you guys, okay, how many mag dumps can this go through? So we're putting on the safety goggles. As I said, the first one we're going to do is going to be this Toxicant. So I'm going to take the Toxicant mag. I'll give you a quick reading of what we're doing here. So I've got it set to 0.25 gram BBs. We've got 2.25 grams in here, and I'm using this heavy gas 150 PSI from Swiss Arms with no silicon. One of the coolest things about this is that, reloading it in that way. And I'm going to give you now an idea of our FPS. Okay, so that's at 365. Problem I've got now is I've got a Smoky Wolf in here, and this gas loves to mess up chronos. That was 21.7, so there we go. 353. 351. 353. 355. 350. Okay, so that gives you an idea. Like, it's super, super consistent. We've gone from 365 to 350. It seemed like the first one was the hottest, and then it kind of settled around that 355 mark. Rate of fire on this, I'm going to give a quick turn off and just turn it on so we have a fresh reading. We're going to go with 0.25 gram BBs. Okay, rate of fire is... that is giving me 13.1, which seems to me like that's slow. Let me do it again. No, that's giving me 10. Oh, no, sorry, 14. Rounds per second, 14. So 14 rounds per second is kind of what we're looking at. Let me just do some more readings on the FPS. 327, 327, 325.5, 319, 317, 318. And that is a full mag done. So I really think the performance on this thing is very, very good. I'm going to give you that there. I love the Smoky Wolf. I did, if you haven't seen, basically took, sorry, not Smoky Wolf, E-Shooter Smoky Flare Smoky BT. I took one of those, I stuck an actual can on the outside of it, a SIG suppressor can, which is why it looks different. And so I think this looks pretty awesome. But you may disagree. Just let me know what you think. But I've got a video on that if you guys want to see how I did that. I know Silo's actually just released a new one, so go and check that out. Okay, so that we're going to put to one side for a second. I'm now going to do the same thing, but with the PROW. So I think we kind of had a similar-ish reading on FPS previously with the PROW. In terms of time that I used to fill these mags, I know from, I think Bada Bing did some tests, and like a while ago I saw it on AR mags that he did. It was like MWS based mags, and I think he was filling them for about 12 seconds, and that was kind of like the prime optimum kind of time to fill a mag without overfilling it. I actually did these for 15 seconds, both mags. The mag from the Toxicant and the mag from the PROW. So I think they're slightly bigger mags, which is why I went for a couple of extra seconds and they didn't sound like they'd filled up. But that's what I've done on these, just a 15-second straight fill. And so that should give you maybe an idea of that. Mag catch on this is still a little bit sticky. I can't like fully get it in. I need to slam it in to get it to fully go. I think that's just wearing it in. That's the same. We're going to do the same very, very cool little movement there. We're actually going to turn these to 0.25. And now I'll give you an idea of FPS on this. Okay, 349, 350, 248. So that's got to be wrong. 320, 320. That says 8.5. That's wrong. 328, 329, 326. Okay, so it's a lower FPS around that 329 mark. We had a couple of offshooters there, but I think probably it's going to be a similar-ish level of it seems like that actually right now is performing slightly better, but they're pretty in line in terms of their variation there. Rate of fire on this, before it was slightly slower. I'm going to try and just refresh this chrono again. So we had 14, I believe, on that last one. And on this, if we're going full auto, so that one is saying 11 rounds a second. And now it's saying 20 rounds per second, so that's not right. No, sorry, it is saying, so it's saying 16.2. So it's going to be about the same. I feel like this is a faster firing. We can do a little test just now on audio so you guys can give it an idea here. This is the full auto of the Toxicant. And the full auto on the PROW. Oh. So I think we're out of gas on that. No. So it's kind of similar. I'd say it's very, very similar. So you're looking probably at the similar amount. It actually felt slower before on the PROW. And I think maybe that is because that spring hadn't kind of worn in to the extent that it is now. So I think it's going to be a similar rate of fire. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do this mag over here, and we're going to do kind of burn through how many rounds we can get. I'm going to try and set it up on the chrono here, and I will give you guys kind of an idea of the amount. It shouldn't be too cold, the actual gun, because we've actually had it, it's gone through a mag just there, but that was fairly slow and we are resting it. So this is going to be the second mag. See what I mean there? Oh, it's not going in. There we go. See, it's locked there. So I think that that's just that mag catch kind of needs to bed in a bit. I don't remember having the same issue with the Toxicant, but that's just kind of where it is. Okay, so we're going to see how many rounds we can get out of a mag on this right now. Okay, so first one, 357, 329. We're always getting that first one going off really hot. 311, 310, 309, 299, 300, 299, 294, 291, 292, 292, 289, 285, 285, 289, 278, 278.5, 283, 275, 273, 269, 270, 273, and that's 272. So that's 28 rounds I think it went through on that one. We're going to get a load more in here. So that's one full mag, it's gone, but it did drop from basically 360 on that first shot, which I think was a kind of random, just super filled with gas shot, to 272 on that last. I'm going to do this. I haven't worked out the best way to fill these mags yet because I think it's probably a regular speed loader. And this is how you have to fill them. So you see now, that's very springy. Oh, thought I was going to fall there. And I'm just going to drop them in with my hands. 5, 6, 7. You also can get the issue, which I don't normally get with gas blowback mags, unless I'm filling a pistol in this same fashion, where it's not stacking properly. You know, like the actual BBs, you know, you've got gaps sometimes between the BBs because it's like you've kind of stacked too many. Like it's a double stack and they can kind of shift across. Especially because it's like loose like this when you pull back the like pistol kind of the follower, whereas when you've got it in this and you're kind of like forcing them in as they are, and I'm sure you can load this in the same way, but it won't work with an MWS speed loader or mag adapter. You are going to get that same issue of, okay, there's 6. You are going to get that same issue of, oh, I need to kind of shake this mag to realign where it is. Every time I've loaded the Toxicant mag, I can see it from the front that it's like perfectly loaded double stack. See, this is just awkward. I think if I've got like a button push loader, we'd be fine. Okay. So now you can see when I've loaded this, that is going to kind of like go through there, but I can't tell. And I think this one is fully loaded, but I can't tell completely. Like, did all the BBs fully go in there? Okay, so that is that first kind of 28 to 30 rounds or one mag that we've gone through. I'm going to release the bolt, which is very, very satisfying. Okay, that says 65, so that's wrong. 282, 289, 275, 278, 277, 275.5, 270, 274.5, 270.5, 263.8, 290, 281, 271, 270, 290, 304, 302, 300, 295. I can feel the gas getting lower here. 298, 303, 299, 29.4. And that is that end of that mag. So we've gone through 2 full mags with bolt lock. I'm going to go again. But I would say it seems like it kind of has a cooldown, and this might be because they're new mags. You know, it's like at the moment we've got mags which are brand new, and it seems like almost we dropped down. It was almost like the consistency was good, but we dropped down with like cooldown pretty fast from that 360 or 330 down to those like high 200s. And now it's almost settled back to the like low 300s. Let me just do one more of these. This is the Vanguard speed loader. If any of you guys are going to comment that and say, what speed loader is that? It's very expensive, but very, very good. And you can see here what I'm talking about. So you see the top there, there's 2 there, which are, they've got gaps. I'm not going to go back through and do it because I'm just going to kind of do it from how many mags can we get through. But that is a disadvantage, I think, of loading it that way. Okay, so we're going to release the bolt, take safe off. That one didn't register. 299, 276, 278, 280, 299, 310, 304, 306, 298, 295, 296, 299, 294, 244, 234, feel the gas going, 224, 233, 232, 229, 221, 220, 229, 227, 223. But that's gone through 3 full mags, guys. That's another mag just like fully done. So we'll keep going. So I would say so far, guys, I'm pretty impressed. Like there is variance there for sure, which, you know, you're going to get with gas blowbacks. I think there was a lot less variance on the Toxicant, but I have got like an upgraded rubber. I've got an upgraded rubber. I've got, you know, a nicer inner barrel, which I think will probably have just more consistency, or more expensive, I expect, inner barrel. That one's got a Maple Leaf Crazy Jet in it. This is an awkward reload. I'm not a big fan of these reloads. I'll put it that way. If it clicked out and locked in, I think that would be fine. But as of right now, I'm having to like hold the mag out and then reload it or drop BBs into it from that location. And I'm just dropping BBs all over the floor, which is just annoying for later. I think this isn't going to go through that many more rounds. So I'm just going to put in, I mean, that is a full mag. No, we need 2 more rounds. Definitely don't need that many. Okay, yeah. So there was 3 more that went in there. Okay, so we've got another mag there. And the other thing as well is, like, I think a lot of people, when I showed the WellPro KS1 mag and how that cassette came out, it was kind of cool because it was like you can pull the whole cassette out, you can reload it, you can carry a load of cassettes and just fast reload. This, it doesn't come out, it stays in place. So it's like I have to awkwardly hold it up, then put the BBs in. Then I can't, there's no advantage to having like more cassettes in my backpack or something like that. So that's kind of annoying that they've done it that way, but I don't know why. Okay, so this is going to be release the bolt, 314, 306, 290, 260, 288, 242, 234, 230, 229, 228, 23.5, that's wrong, 228, 232, 259, and then that's it. That bolt's gone there. So that was, the last shot was 241. So that just went through 90 rounds, it says on chrono there. So 90 rounds out of 1 gas fill, 15 seconds with that green gas. So these mags are good. And I think consistency-wise, it was holding there. So I think once they're bedded in, they're going to be good. It seems like the gun had that kind of like initial cooldown. And then between mags, when the mag got to, and the gun got to like reheat up, it kind of jumped back from that 270 up to that 300 again. But I'm really impressed that that just did 90 rounds through it. I think it's going to be probably better slightly than the Toxicant, but it's going to be, you know, the Toxicant's good enough. Having 2 full go through, probably maybe a third. That's got 3 going through it for sure. So yeah, that's just something something that's definitely a nice little improvement. Oh, that's not cycled, so that's not gone through. Yeah, so that's going to be the kind of mag of performance there. Trying to think what else you want there. In terms of that, oh, one thing that we do need to do is do a comparison of the bolts. So I'm going to put this in here and we can start the kind of opening up of it internally. Okay, so we've done that as the gas. I'm going to let that heat for a second. I've got not many BBs in there, so I'm going to try and open this up. One good thing though, actually though, is that you can reload BBs. Like I don't, like, you know, with most gas blowback mags, if I try and take the BBs out, I lose the BBs, or the BBs I can't kind of like, I can't top them up as easily in this same format. Like with this, I can like pull this out, top them up. and kind of have a little check about how many BBs I have or rearrange them. So there is more flexibility in that. Oh, I just put 130 BBs out in my hand and started to. God, I hate the reload on these. Yeah, I need to just grab one of my hand loaders and then I'd be fine. Okay, so let's put those rounds in there. I'm now going to fire this quickly just twice on the regular bolt, and then we're going to change the bolt out and we'll kind of see what that's like. Okay, so this is regular bolt, 319, 317. So we're looking about 317 is going to be the the like 320, let's say, is going to be the power on the regular bolt. Let's put this guy, I'm just going to grab this mag and take him out because we don't want that in there. We want to take this rear pin out right there, and we're going to open it up. Now, I kind of did this in the previous video, but there is no real like Z plate there, as kind of people have looked at previously. It is like a kind of similar-ish trigger system or layout, but it's not an MWS system. I don't think any parts there are going to be comparable. Now, a big difference and a weird thing with this is when I pull this up, this is locked in place. The rear of the recoil, the trigger recoil, this recoil spring for the bolt. So I think what I have to do is turn it, push it in, and then I think someone said rotate it. Yeah, you have to push it in and then rotate it, which I actually kind of like. You're then removing the trigger spring separately. Sorry, the recoil spring separately, which is different from the Toxicant, as we'll show you in a minute. And then I'm pulling the charging handle out to remove this bolt, which is huge. It's much more of your traditional bolt in terms of style with that gas tube on the front of it there for an MCX. I believe. I think it kind of does come out. It looks very much like an AK, you know, like where it has that front piece. And I think that that is kind of what the XM5s look like. This has got a good amount of lubrication on it that they've put. The movement of the nozzle is pretty solid. It's a big chunky nozzle. So I don't think that's going to be an MWS nozzle at all. It's definitely chunky. Weight-wise, if I compare it, like this weighs probably twice as much as this gray bolt, which is the lightweight. I haven't actually got any lubrication. I might try and just do a little bit of cross lubrication here on these. It has got some on the nozzle, but it's the same nozzle. It's the same. It looks like it's the same everything other than the actual body of the body of the actual bolt itself. And this is this lightweight aluminium. This is probably steel or some kind of comparable. I'll open up the Toxicant just so we can compare it now, because it might be a good idea just to do that. But I've actually put an Acu wedge in the bottom here, this little piece of rubber, and that actually keeps my upper and my lower more solid. I don't know why, but I just opened that with a mag in it. This has much more of your like Z plate style here. You can see there, it's kind of like that Z plate system for the bolt catch. So it seems to me much more like MWS based. This is like a full single bolt. One thing I don't like about these are these little roller pieces on here. And they just kind of float freely. They're just on there freely and they'll drop off. The bolt is more chunky, I would say, on this guy. And heavier. Yeah, I would say it's heavier. That's kind of what you're looking at. The actual nozzles, like the air seal or the air nozzle on the Toxicant looks larger there than it does here. It's definitely very, very different though. Okay, so one of those rollers just popped off there. This is a lot more pronounced. It's got much bigger, wider like flares around it. This is a lot more of your standard MWS nozzle looking. This is one piece. This has got the, what is it called? I'm so bad with this kind of like tech stuff, but it's got the end of the nozzle, like actual movement, whereas this nozzle is one solid piece. There's no secondary parts for this one. This one also has got your kind of MWS style attachment for the nozzle return spring in the back there. And this like actual recoil rod is inside. The size of the recoil rods and the springs is significant. Like this is a lot bigger. But yeah, I would say no parts are going to be compatible looking at this at all. I do really like how chunky and solid this bolt is. This one definitely doesn't feel quite as like premium in terms of like how it's machined. But very, very different designs and styles. Okay, I'm just very worried about losing these rollers. So I'm going to put this back in here. Put that in. That just sits there in place. So it's not having to be rotated or locked in. And then that is our Toxicant. Then I'm now going to put in this, which is going to be our lightweight bolt. We'll see if I can compare the weight of it in any way. I don't know how I will, but that's going to go in there. And then we're going to put the recoil spring down into this hole. I'm going to rotate it into place. So weird. Okay, so that's now in place. Okay, so we'll close this up. There's still zero movement between the upper and the lower on this. Now what I'm going to do is take the same mag. So we were looking at what, 317 and 319 on that last one. See here? It's not going in. There we go, it's locked in there. So I think I either need to file that slightly or just kind of look at it. Right, so if we take it off safe, we are going to, have we already chambered something? Yes, we have. We're going to look at how hard this is firing. 383, that's dropped to 321, 371, 369, 373, 375. And in terms of just the recoils, 371, yeah, it's very, very obvious the difference in recoil. But this is far, far less recoil than it is with that full bolt in it. But obviously it looks like you're jumping, what, an extra 50 FPS up, which you would expect. If it's a lightweight bolt meant for 371, 352, 362. Okay, let's do the rate of fire quickly. Okay, so that wasn't fast enough, but it said it was 23 rounds per second. Let's maybe just see if we can get an extra few BBs in this and get the RPS up, or get the RPS reading. Let me just grab this here. I'm just going to put maybe 10 rounds in it so we can just do a quick 10-round burst. But I'm expecting the RPS will also increase. The more I think about it, sorry, this is a very odd way of watching me doing stuff. The more I think about it, the more I think if they are actually discontinuing the XM5, I don't think there's much choice. I don't know if you guys agree, like let me know in the comments below, but like if a discontinued replica is a bit of a nightmare. It's a very cool wall hanger. It's a very cool thing to have. But if it's getting discontinued and it's not like, you know, if it's not like a MWS system, which, you know, there's other manufacturers making tons of them and they're exactly the same and it's similar body parts and it's similar like other stuff, I think it's going to make it almost like obsolete, because if you can't repair it and if you're not like a serious tech guy that can machine and, you know, fix stuff, which I'm definitely not. I can do some kind of upgrades, but I'm not the kind of guy who, I watch some people's videos, I'm like, you're shimming this and you're doing that, and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it, because unless you're one of those guys and you just want it as a base to like work on and like repair and improve, I don't know if you're going to take it out to the field and regularly play with it. Okay, right, so let's do RPS. Okay, that's saying 114, so that must be gas there. Okay, this gas is really messing this up right now. Hold on. Let's turn it off. Turn it on. I don't think the RPS sounds that much higher though, to be honest. 0.25s. Okay, so that's saying 14.3. So to be honest, guys, I don't think the RPS is improving that much, but I do think that you're getting more power for sure. That last one was 350, and that was after like a full mag and a bit. So you're definitely getting more. It's just how much you're getting more FPS. It's more just like, you know, is it more RPS? And I don't think it's noticeable from what I've just tested there. Okay, so I'm going to put the full weight bolt back in, but I think it's a great option. The fact that they included that, you know, it is part of it, and you don't have to go out and buy it. I think is really, really cool. Like, I mean, I think it's cool if they sell it as like, okay, you can go and buy a lightweight bolt anyway. But I think the fact that you are able to, like actually have it in the box and not have to go and pay for it, and then straight away be able to use this better in a colder environment. I just think that that's really nicely thought out. You know, you're paying a lot of money for this replica, as we've said, but it is nice that they've kind of included that where I don't think necessarily they would have needed to. Okay, so future videos, guys, on this, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be changing out. Oh, one thing we do need to talk about is the hop. Okay, so let me just take this out here because it's going to be easier to show you. Hop adjustment on the other one is pretty easy. There are kind of definitive little kind of clicks. And I would say it's nice just being able to like do a little twist on the end. This, you're going to have to go inside it. And it's a weird system. Well, it's not weird. It's kind of like a MWS-ish system. But you see that silver dial that's going the entire way around? That needs to be rotated. So push left and right, and it rotates around the barrel to increase and decrease the hop. So it's going to be an awkward one where you don't necessarily need to remove the bolt like I did. I think you can put the bolt in, and then you're just going to need to rack the action. And then once you've racked the action, you're going to have to like pin the bolt back. And then once you've pinned the bolt back, get like an Allen key. You're not going to be able to get your finger in there. I can guarantee that, unless you've got very, very small fingers. So you're going to have to kind of get your... There we go. You're going to have to get your like Allen key in like this and then rotate it. Let's see if we can do it now. I do actually kind of like this locking mechanism. It kind of like puts it in. It's kind of nice just to have that there. So if I lock this back here, you can see that silver edging around that part there. So what I'd need to do is basically just take this and adjust it left and right. And it's not hard to adjust, to be honest. But there's no real clicking, it doesn't feel like. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you push it a little bit and then it goes a lot. Like that just pushed like halfway across as I was trying to push it gently. There is a kind of clicking dial noise, but it's not easy to just do one. You know, you'd have to give a very small amount of pressure just to like... So I don't think that's going to be something that you can switch over from a different system. Ooh. That bolt's not sitting in there. Have I misinstalled this now? Oh, there we go. That was weird. Okay, so it just didn't fully like align and sit in there in that moment, but hopefully that's okay. So guys, yeah, I mean, if you were kind of going as a, like a overall, I'm going to slam it in. Let me just see what else I've missed on my little list. Okay, so we've done the performance. I think the performance is comparable. I really do. I think I was worried maybe about gas capacity of these mags. They're cheaper at $50 a mag. they seem good. They don't seem bad at all. I don't really like the loading of it, but I think you can find your little ways around that and you can do it. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Cooldown effect, it definitely seems to cool down, but it didn't kind of cool down and drop off a cliff. It kind of like stayed stable after a cooldown, which I think is good. I think also changing out the barrel and the hop nub's going to improve that consistency probably. And even though I haven't done any of that, like the consistency out of the box is pretty good. It includes the extra lightweight bolt, which I think is great. The design of the bolt I actually do kind of like, just because it doesn't have those annoying little rollers which kind of like fall to the floor, and you can get new ones, but it's just annoying. The nozzle design, I kind of do like how that gas kind of what do you call it? This gas rod is sticking out there. It just kind of makes it feel different and pretty cool. So I do kind of like that. Recoil spring tension I think is cool as well, how it is. The bolt travel and the recoil is the same, I would say, on both of them, very similar, maybe slightly heavier on the Toxicant, but obviously you have the option with this one as well to just reduce the recoil and just have it firing hotter, which I think is kind of cool. Also, you could turn up to the field and you could have two bolts like that. You can just be like, oh, okay, I want a bit more performance, I'm just going to switch to a lighter bolt and just have higher FPS. I think that's pretty cool. The hop-up system I don't think is great. I do probably prefer the Toxicant, but as I said, they kind of messed up the adjustment on that initially and you had to change it out. But I do like, same on the APFGs, I like the adjustment of the hop-up at the front there. Just shooting, being able to like rotate it, shoot, rotate. Whereas this, you have to shoot, lock the bolt back, fiddle about, then close the bolt, then try and remember where you were shooting. It's just, for me, it's not as good. Accuracy, we haven't really like tested yet, but I think that is, again, it's going to depend on the barrel and the hop rubber you're using. The hop adjustment isn't great, but I think once you have it in place, it's going to be harder for that thing to move or slip. It is like a full rotation it almost needs around the barrel. So I think that's going to be pretty good. The air seal seemed good. Ease of disassembly was fine once I worked out how to rotate that like recoil spring rod assembly. Internals look good. I think the quality maybe on the Toxicant slightly better. It seems like it was pretty well greased and like lube, not over the top, but pretty good. FPS was fairly consistent. Rate of fire was good. Full auto versus semi-auto. Went through 3 mags. I think that was pretty great. Gas efficiency, yeah, that was great on 3 mags. Cooldown behavior, we've gone through that. Recoil and sound comparison, recoil's similar, sound similar. So I don't feel like you should choose the Toxicant and pay way more money if it's just recoil. Like, it's not making a big difference. It might have a slightly harder kick, but it's not going to be super noticeable. External compatibility, it seems like they're compatible for what you need them to be. I think probably the stock on this is going to be better. Other than that, they're going to be pretty much identical with that. Optic rail height's the same. Accessory mounting, same. Obviously, this one compared to the one I've got has a bit more M-lock. That might be something you like or you don't like. You know, I think they've gone for a good middle-of-the-road model. It's not super big. It's not super small. It's got enough compatibility. My main issue is just this whole inside-outer barrel assembly moving. And I think it's just going to be a tighten of a screw. So I'm hoping that I can just do that and we'll be all good. But we'll work that out, and we'll do that in the next video. When I do the install of in a barrel and a hot rubber, I'm going to kind of go through that and try and fix it, and we'll do the full build out. I am going to build this out. I like it, I have to say. I thought I was going to be like, it's not as good as the Toxicant, I'm going to throw it away. If they're discontinuing the Toxicant, I may go to this as my regular runner to use, and then keep that as my, like, you know, I've got a Toxicant. Ooh, they stopped making these. This is expensive now. I don't know if that will happen. The compatibility is non-existent. I think that it's going to take a normal gas blowback rubber, which I'm going to check, and then a regular gas blowback barrel, which I'm going to check. I can't imagine they wouldn't. Overall performance and feel very similar. Long-term considerations, I think that's going to be the big one. If they're discontinuing the Toxicant, I would go with the PROW. Just based on my initial, I haven't played with it, but if you can fix this outer barrel, if you can get your hop dialed and locked in, and you can put a good inner barrel into it, I don't know why you wouldn't use this, other than maybe over time the parts aren't going to be as good, but it's hard to test that when we've just had it come out. Realism wise, I think it looks really good. It's very solidly built. Like the upper and the lower wobble is really good not to have that moving. And the value's there. Like it's good. So I think that's probably going to be this video, guys. Hopefully this has given you enough information to kind of like choose. My kind of final thought on this is going to be, I love the Toxicant. If you want to spend the $1,600 and go and get the Toxicant, go and get it because it is a good gun and I really like it. If you don't want to spend the $1,600 and you're like, is it worth spending less to get the PROW? I would get it. I do think you're going to get this out and you're going to be like, this is damn cool. This is different. It feels well built. I definitely think you're going to want the trades, but I would say buy it as of right now. And I'm sorry if like you watched my future video and I'm like, okay, why did you buy this and don't buy it? But as of right now, and if you're going to go by my initial first thoughts, I would say get it. It's good. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'll put a link to the PROW down below and to the Toxicant if it's on Octagon as well. I'll give Octagon the love because they sent this to me. Octagon, if you're watching this, definitely reach out and send me some free stuff. That'd be great. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all very good soon on the next video. Have a great day wherever you are. Goodbye.